What if I told you that this machine can literally see your brain in action, watching the way you think, feel, or even decide? This is fMRI, and today I'm going to show you how it works and as to why it might be the future of reading the human mind. Hi, I'm Evans, a biomedical engineer, and I break down medical technology in a way anyone can understand. In this video, I'm going inside one of the most powerful brain tools ever invented, the fMRI. I'll explain to you the simplest way possible how it works, and I'll let you know some use cases and, most importantly, its limitations. What is fMRI and how does it work? fMRI stands for Functional Magnetic Resonance Imaging. Unlike normal MRI, which shows photos of the structure of the brain, fMRI shows brain activities. That's the part of the brain that lights up when you're performing certain activities in form of a video, or in a video format, I should say. The brain is made up of billions of neurons, and activities always linked to these neurons. But here is the cool part. fMRI does not track neurons directly. Instead, it looks at blood flow. More specifically, how oxygen levels change in different areas of the brain. But before you dig deeper into how fMRI works, it's important to understand how MRI works, because fMRI is built upon the principles of operation of MRI. So simply explain, the human body is loaded with tons and tons of hydrogen atoms, and MRI relies on the magnetic properties of these hydrogen atoms to generate signals, which are then processed to form the crisp images that we see. But how does MRI fit in here? Let me explain. As I've already mentioned, fMRI tracks the blood oxygenation level at the brain region of interest, also called the BOLD response, that is blood oxygenation level dependent response. But how exactly is the tracking done? Let's take an example here. So let's say you've been given a list of words to read out loud, and it is known that the region of the brain associated with speech is the Broca's area, so it is expected to have the Broca's area light up when we perform certain tasks related to speech. That is, we expect the neurons in the Broca's area to be more active when we perform tasks related to speech, that is in this case, reading out the words aloud. And when neurons are active, they consume lots of oxygen compared to inactive neurons. So simply put, brain regions in the active state get fed with more oxygenated blood, and those in the resting state get fed with more deoxygenated blood. Now, here's the real deal. Oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood have different magnetic property, and this plays a crucial role in fMRI image acquisition. Let's first talk about deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood is paramagnetic. This means it's slightly attracted by the magnetic field and therefore distorts close by hydrogen atoms. And as I've already mentioned, MRI uses hydrogen atoms to generate signals needed for the images, and therefore, in the presence of deoxygenated blood, the signal that we receive from these hydrogen atoms will be drastically reduced. On the other hand, oxygenated blood is diamagnetic. This is completely opposite of the deoxygenated blood. This implies that it's slightly repelled by a magnetic field and therefore does not distort the close by hydrogen atoms. So the signal that we receive in effect will be much higher compared to deoxygenated blood. As a result of the roles played by the magnetic properties of the different types of blood, fMRI is able to differentiate areas in the brain with more oxygen from areas without oxygen, and hence we're able to determine which part of the brain is active and which is not active or less active while performing a certain task. Okay, so now we know the parts of the brain that are active and those that are not, but how are they visually represented? You guessed right, color codes are applied. Or usually warmer colors like yellow or red are used to map higher activity, while cooler colors like blue or cyan are used to map less activity. So yes, this is just a very simplified explanation of how this crazy technology works. Of course, it is absolutely much more complicated than that. Now let us move on to the applications of fMRI. How is fMRI being used in real life? Well, first on my list is brain surgery. fMRI is becoming increasingly important in brain surgery. fMRI is used in pre-surgical procedure to map different areas of the brain that are responsible for vital functions like vision or language. This helps guide the main surgical procedure to avoid tampering with these vital areas in the brain, which can really affect the patient's quality of life. Researchers also use fMRI to study pain, emotion, memory, or even addiction. But the one I find most fascinating, are you ready, is vision reconstruction. So some researchers scan people watching movies or dreaming and decode the patterns of thought. So this research group at UC Berkeley actually reconstructed a video from fMRI data which looked very close to the video that they made their volunteers watch during the research.
And there's no reason one would think that this would work, and in fact most of our colleagues just told us this would never work. So it was pretty surprising and satisfying when it actually worked.
And this was 13 years ago, guys. And I'm wondering what fMRI will look like in the near future. The link to this video is in the description just in case you want to check out the full video. This video is going to get really long if I mention all the applications of fMRI. So I'm just going to leave links in the description if you want to dive deeper into the topic. Now let us get real for a second. Just like everything else in this world, MRI has its limitations. As I mentioned, fMRI does not show real-time neurons firing, just the blood flow as a representation. So interpreting the data can be really complex, especially across individuals. There's also a repeatability issue which makes researchers and doctors doubt this technology. There's been cases where even the same person performing the same task in different sessions yielded different results. That is the part of the brain that lit up for that specific activity during different sessions for the same individual were different. Other than that, this technology is expensive, bulky, and slow. It takes quite a long time to record useful data, which can cause patient discomfort since they have to lay very still in this extremely noisy MRI machine during the entire acquisition process. So yes, that is fMRI machine, one of the most useful tools for understanding the living brain. In my opinion, we are very far away from fully understanding the complex nature of the human brain. So I find it really amazing that lots of researchers and engineers are working tirelessly on this technology to increase the precision and accuracy, to enable seamless portability, and to help us understand the brain even better. I am really excited to see how fMRI evolves in the near future. How about you? What do you think about this technology? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video informative, don't forget to leave a like on it to support and subscribe to join our community so you can stay up to date with the craziest medical technologies out there. See you in the next one.